Welcome back, guys. This is Thomas, and on this episode, we're looking at the Samurai Adventure Michelangelo and the Space Adventure Donatello. And this is the only item that I was not able to find in Target, so I actually got it on the app when it went live for one of the Haulathon Friday releases. So super excited about this. Can't wait to get these guys open. These are very reminiscent of the original Playmates toys. I think the original Samurai was Leonardo, and the astronaut was Raphael. So super cool to get these. And the NECA toon line is starting to go off-world a bit, which is okay, but I don't know how many of these variants I can buy. I did want these just for Donatello as the astronaut, but Samurai Michelangelo will be a great pairing with my Samurai Usagi, so not going to complain too much about that. Again, I don't know in the future if I'll buy every variant of the Turtles, but to start, I thought it'd be cool to get some of the first variants. So looking at the box, it is more of the same of what we are used to with these 2-packs. Big open face window, beautiful illustration of Samurai Michelangelo and Space Adventure Donatello on the front of the package. So loving that. Those look super awesome. And then everyone that was involved in the making of this figure on the bottom of the box. Pretty cool. Some great product shots of Michelangelo on one side, and then you get some product shots of Donatello on the other side. On the back, same old story about the Turtles, nothing new, but if I'm looking at the collect them all, I do have all of those, so don't have to worry about finding them. And but up until this point, I think I had more variants of Bebop and Rocksteady, so I guess it's good that we're finally getting some variants of the Turtles. But either way, I'm excited, so we're going to crack this open and check them out. Looking at both figures out of the box, they look pretty cool, and they were pretty nimble and loose, so I didn't have to heat up anything, but you might have to do so. You kind of roll the dice with NECA figures. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but these were fine straight out of the package. So I don't know if it's the sculpt of the clothing, but everything seems to be pretty well there. So there's lots to go over. Let's go ahead and break these figures down one by one, see what they all come with, and then we'll get a closer look. First, let's start off with Samurai Adventure Michelangelo. Starting off with Michelangelo because honestly, he's kind of one of my least favorites of the 2-pack, but I still do like the design. I just didn't have room or need for a samurai-themed Michelangelo. I just like space, so I really wanted that Donatello. So getting him in hand, he has lots of great detail. I'm not sure if this helmet is reused from the movie ones. That's far away in a cabinet right now. I can't grab it. But he still looks pretty great. All the line work is what we're used to with the cartoon line, the armor, the shoulder pads. All the gauntlets and the shin guards look pretty cool. And Michelangelo is wearing some pretty cool sandals, which I think we've seen in the movie line, but not yet in the cartoon line with the Turtles. So pretty neat. I think that's a little nod to the original Playmates Sewer Samurai Leo or Samurai Sewer Leo. Not sure which one it was. But either way, the helmet is cool. It has a peg that can go onto the back of his head. However, there is a gripe I have here that we can kind of talk about a little later, but we'll get into that when we go over all of the accessories. So this is a great figure, really excited to check him out, so let's start checking out some of his articulation. So with the helmet on, you won't be able to move his head too far back, but he can at least get it side to side and down a little bit. And then you are going to have some limitations because of the armor, so the arms are only going to get to about there, unless you kind of want to pop the armor pieces off. I wouldn't do that. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, pretty cool. And then you do have a hinge at the wrist. So I think that'll be a common theme, some limitations because of the armor. There is no ab crunch, but he does have a swivel at the waist. And then probably because of the pants or the tunic, you're not going to be able to get his legs out too far. So that's probably about it without me bending the tunic pieces. And then because of the sculpt of the creases in the pants, not sure how far you'll be able to get this. So that's probably about where you're going to top out. Unless you really wanted to push it, I'm not going to try. But either way, he does have a hinge at the ankle and then a rocker, which both seem to move fairly nice. So now that we've gone over some articulation, let's check out some of his accessories. Mikey does come with 2 sets of hands, some open hands, some grippy hands, and then the figure itself comes with some solid fist hands. And I love this that he comes with 2 swords because it's very reminiscent of the 3rd movie where he gets some swords and Mikey's not a swordsman, so he's just excited to finally play with some. So looks really cool with him. Love those. The swords themselves are quite different than like Leonardo's. They're a little thinner at the blade, but they have a really cool kind of slant to them. and then the details on the hilt are fairly nice. Then Mikey does come with this chained weapon, and I have no idea what it's called, but it's pretty cool, and I do remember this specifically coming with some Playmates figures from the third Ninja Turtles movie, so maybe a nod to that, or at least something similar, but that's what it reminds me of. So it has some nice detail on it, the blade looks great, and the handle has some nice line work, and a real chain just like Michelangelo's nunchucks, very reminiscent of the old Playmates line. And then something else I don't think we've gotten before is this circular blade. I think the one that came with Usagi, the samurai version, was a little different. I could be wrong. I just opened it and I can't remember, but still pretty cool to get this extra accessory there. Now that I'm thinking about it, this might have come with the Usagi, and it's crazy because I just opened it about a week ago and I can't remember. But I know for sure we did not get this accessory yet, maybe, possibly. But it also does remind me of some of the older weapons that have come with Playmate figures. So maybe like Slash, or maybe even some of those Tmnt 3 figures. Maybe that's what they were going for here. But brand new. So really cool accessory. You can see all those nice little spikes or bumps on the actual end of it, and then the line work on the handle. And this accessory we've definitely seen in the past with Turtles. So I'm going to say this looks very similar to the weapon that Shredder came with in the 2003 series figures, but really cool to have him sparring off with your Samurai Usagi. I think these two figures complement each other really well, so I can see how people would want to get 4 different turtles to put on here. I'm just not going to go spend that kind of money. So here's my one major gripe with this figure. So I do like that they at least gave us a different expression, and you can swap them out with the Space Donnie head as well. However, because if you wanted to keep that helmet off, they did not give us a spare bandana piece. So I'm pretty sure you can just take it off another figure, but would have been nice just to include it. So that's Samurai Mikey, not high on my want list, but now that I have him in hand, he's growing on me a little bit. I really love the way that he looks with Usagi. So now that we've checked out Michelangelo, let's check out my favorite, Donatello. Now, hopefully what they say about toy collecting is not true, that when figure line goes to space, it's dead. I think this one's alive and well, and I think this is just paying homage to some of the older figures we've gotten. So removable helmet, pretty awesome. You got some nice detail on the skull cap, which is kind of a limitation if you want to put some other turtles in there, but you can still do that. They just won't have the head sculpt or the goggles that he has. Great detail all over the body. I love the little patches that he has, the little mechanisms on his gauntlets and his gloves, all looking pretty nice. Looks like it's symmetrical on either side, so both the same, but then the chest piece is a little different from one side to the other. He has those cool knee pads and space boots. I think I'm most excited about those space boots because I think he'll probably just be easier to stand. Peg hole on the back because he has 2 different things that can plug in there. And from the back, he kind of looks like a Ghostbuster. I don't know, maybe it's just me. And obviously with the helmet, you're not going to get much articulation, so to move the head, just pop that off. And he does have some nice range looking down, and then you can move his head back pretty well. So he does have some articulation on those goggles, which is pretty nice. So you can have them up or down, depending on if you don't want any light glare in those, but everything seems to be well there. And just like the Samurai Michelangelo, you're going to have some limitations with articulation, but that's because of the sculpt, which I really don't mind. So you're probably only going to be able to get it up about that far. And then he was a little tighter than Michelangelo. I was still able to move him, but his bicep swivel just needed to be loosened up a little bit. He does have a single jointed elbow, but I think that's mostly because of the glove, that they didn't want to kind of cut the sculpt or ruin it, make his arms longer. It would just look weird. So I think that kind of made sense to do that there. He can turn pretty nice at the waist, get his legs out about that far, and now I'm assuming that he won't be able to get his legs too far just because of that tie around his knee. So we'll see how far I can get it, but that's probably as far as I'm comfortable with without really forcing it and trying to break it. But he does have a nice hinge at the foot and an ankle rocker, so this figure's ready to go. Everything moves nicely, so let's start checking out some of his accessories. Now, Donatello doesn't come with as much stuff as Mikey, but he does come with 2 extra sets of hands, some tight gripping hands, open hands, fisted hands with the figure, and then he does come with some trigger hands. You can use that open hand for him to hold his helmet, and I guess I'm using the trigger hand as a salute. I kind of wish he came with just an open flat hand, so you can maybe get that pose on a little better, but this will do for now. Donatello does come with these two blasters that kind of look like they have corn cobs on the end. I think there's little peg holes. Maybe you can put blast effects in there. So you can have him holding one gun or two. I do wish he came with some holsters though, because once he's not holding those guns, there's really nowhere to put them. But like him in this pose, I think he looks pretty sweet there. But either way, really cool blasters. And then Donatello does come with two different packs that he can put on his back. So the smaller one has some great detail on it. Really liking it there. It just plugs right into the back so he can breathe in space now. And then he does come with this larger backpack. Again, great line work. I love the kind of turtle shell motif on the top. I think that's really cool. And it looks really nice on his back. This one, I'm probably going to display him like this, hanging from the ceiling like he's floating in space. But I think this is a really cool design and idea because this is a nod to something else. I'll show that in a little bit. But you can also have him hold it too. So if you want to have him with his grip hands holding it forward, you can do that as well. And a nice little tidbit of information I would have never known unless Jonathan over at Nostalgia Unbox said that this goes with Leonardo and it's from the show. So nice little nod to the show there. And speaking of Jonathan, I did make him an Aliens diorama about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I'd really love to see some photos of the pizza monster with Space Donnie. So even if someone else has a Aliens diorama, I'd love to see what that looks like, because I was wanting to recreate the scene, but this is kind of all I have for my turtle shots right now. But I think that would look really cool, and you can do a lot of fun stuff, not just with the pizza monster and Space Donnie, but then you can break out a bunch of your little baby pizza monsters and kind of have them attacking. I think that's pretty awesome. Now, I guess what's nice is that you could probably take these turtles and your Pizza Club turtles, your Pizza in Disguise turtles, and you can swap all their heads. So just a nice little way to kind of get some more expressions on here. And they all have the same color green tone, which is nice. So you can play around with this, mix and match however you want. At least you do have some variations there. I guess NECA's assuming you're buying them all, so they don't need to include all these extra face swaps into the package, but kind of stinks for those that didn't buy them all. Hopefully, I think in the future, maybe we'll see an accessory pack part 2. All right, guys, what do you think? Are you going to be picking up this 2-pack? Again, it's not a necessity in any collection, but if you're a completionist and have a problem like I do, then you probably bought them all. So hope you enjoyed this review. I have a few more things I'd like to unbox, and then I'm still working on a pretty massive project that's going to take me a while, so I figure in between, I'll do some of these figure reviews, let you know I'm alive, and then I'll show off that big reveal whenever I'm done with that project. So thanks for sticking around. Like always, if you can hit like and subscribe, I really appreciate it. And until the next episode, we'll catch you next time.